Welcome to the Prove It podcast, where we let go of proving to the world and start proving what's possible. I'm your host, Michaela, prosperity coach, purpose-driven entrepreneur, and woman of faith. This is for the ones who dare to prosper differently, who choose calling over conformity, purpose over pressure, and alignment with divine design over hustle culture. Through honest conversations and transformative stories, we'll explore what happens when you stop chasing approval and start becoming who you were always meant to be. Because your worth isn't up for debate, but how you live, that's where you prove it. Today, I have Missy Brown on the call with us. Hi, Missy. I'm so excited to chat with you today. So tell us more about who you are and what you do.
Well, I appreciate that. So my name is Missy Brown. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I have a company called Searches Over LLC that works with many educational and healthcare companies throughout the U.S. And I do staffing and marketing, a lot of ABA type work. One of my two daughters is on the spectrum. So a lot of autism, special education. I've worked with the geriatric population as well with Alzheimer's and dementia. So my heart is very near and dear to helping others that need a little extra love and support. But I also help job seekers find work, and I absolutely love that portion of my my career as well, because I love just being there as a sounding board, a mentor, and just kind of, excitement, enthusiastic and driven person who just really is happy to share my experience with you and with all of our viewers today. So thank you.
You said that you have two kids?
I do. 15 years apart. So one is 22 and the other is 7. So the one actually, neurodivergent, I would say the youngest definitely has a diagnosis.
Okay.
The oldest, anxiety, but the youngest is the one who's on the spectrum.
I have a nephew who's on the spectrum, and I actually have my oldest son was born with a really rare syndrome. And so we've kind of dealt with, having a child who is different than what the world views, right?
And not everyone reacts the way you wish they would,
Yes.
but it's a lot about the knowledge and understanding, they're the same as us, just they're just excel in different areas and just need a little extra support in others.
Exactly. And I kind of want to dive into that just because I feel like it is so important to have that awareness, and I can relate to this. And so I think this would be a really great conversation actually to have is, how did you react knowing that, okay, something's different and what the world classifies as normal? Like, okay, my child doesn't fit this standard, right? This definition of normal. I'm sure that you have stories, as do I, of times that people didn't respond in a kind or supportive way. And so how has that been for you, not caring maybe what other people think of that?
Sure. No, that's a great question. Honestly, I believe that I've always been a very easygoing look at the world, and everyone is the same, no judgment type of personality. So I guess, kind of working in senior care for so many years with so many different disabilities and abilities and things to that nature, the timing of it was interesting because I actually was doing recruiting for a school, well, actually multiple schools throughout the US at the time. Then I was hiring BCBAs and RBTs and special education teachers and, different types of therapists when I actually became alerted that my child may be on the spectrum. It actually started with her walking on her tippy toes, and the PCP, her pediatrician said, keep an eye on that, keep an eye on that. Well, 2 years later, she's still walking on her tippy toes. And the sensory stimulation, we had to kind of, watch where we went and who we went with and what time we went, because there was a lot of elopement and a lot of combativeness where, she would, act out if something was too loud or too cold or too dark. So really kind of transitioning into that, and the redirection's really valuable. So she loves dolls. I mean, she's a doll lover. We probably have every size, color, shape, ones that drool, ones that their hair grows. We have so many dolls, and very diverse classroom she has with her dolls. And, I actually speak in different voices. I've had some looks when we're out in public, but it keeps her calm. And I just smile and just say, okay, well, not everyone's going to agree, but it's keeping her calm. She's sitting down, she's eating her food, and that's the most important thing to me. I think the embarrassment part has just gone out the window at this point. As long as she's happy, I'm happy.
And have you dealt with other times, maybe either before having kids, before going through this with your kids, or even like during the process, of handling these circumstances that have come up in your life. Have you struggled with people pleasing before?
Always, yes. I am probably the biggest people pleaser there is. So the oldest daughter had a lot of separation anxiety, lots of phobias. In school, she got sick in first grade. She had some children that unfortunately made fun of her during that time. So lots of fears of, I'm going to get sick at school. The school's calling me, birthday parties, clinging. So between that and then also just kind of family members with mental illness, as well as, work, just kind of, different types of industries that I've been in. I think I've always been a people pleaser, customer service, red carpet type rollout person. Very, I would say, easygoing, very calm under pressure, but it's challenging. It definitely is a challenge. I try to do the best I can, and there's days you're just exhausted.
Yeah, for sure. Have they felt different? Are they confident, in who they are? Or do they struggle with that?
That's a great question, actually. I appreciate that. So they're completely different. The personalities are wildly different, both very loving and kind gals. But the oldest definitely has been a little more reserved, a little more shy. When COVID happened, she was going through her final couple of years of high school, and she had phobias of being sick. And, everyone's wearing the masks and everyone's washing their hands a lot and using sanitizer. In some ways, I think it scared her. In other ways, it made her feel like she wasn't alone. She wasn't the only one fearful of getting sick now because other people are now concerned. So I will say that in that aspect, there's been some challenges for confidence, but I will say she's gotten better since she's graduated high school. The youngest one is confident. She knows that she's great. She thinks she's great. She definitely takes a lot to her dad. Like, they definitely have a lot more of the confidence. And my oldest and I were a lot more alike. We're confident in some things and other things not so much. People will tell us how great we are, but we still are like modest.
I love that. And I want to pick your brain, I guess, about how you have tried to instill confidence, how you have tried to instill that self-worth. Because I know for moms who have kids who are different in some way, that's usually one of the things that's top of mind for us is how do I make sure that they are confident in who they are, because the world is going to tell them that they're different?
That's a great question. I try to find the small things in the world. I'm someone, I will say, Michaela, and to the viewers, that it doesn't always work the first time. Trial and error. You got to try something else. What really kind of gets someone excited. Confidence wise for me, I've always been very adamant about my work and being a mom. I would say the two things that are the most important to me is that I'm providing a safe, a wonderful, atmosphere, and just the growth opportunities and the support for my children, for my family, for my friends, but also, supplying financially as well. So confidence wise, I am told I'm a great mom. I'm a great leader. I have a brother and sister who are like a whole decade younger than I am. My little brother just had his first baby about 3 months ago. And he said, I kind of learned from you all those years. I babysat them. I was 10 years older. He, grew up pretty much 10 years older than my daughter. So they actually were almost like sibling age. And he watched me be a parent twice now to two different daughters. And I think hearing him say, wow, you're doing a great job with them. And I'm a parent now. And wow, it's not easy at all. He goes, I love it. Every day is a challenge, but it's worth it. Hearing that feedback is really beneficial for me to hear that, you're a great mom. You do a great job, even though sometimes you doubt it. We always wish we could do more. And it doesn't always work that way. And in the work, I have had mentors kind of going into just different industries. I've always kind of been a driven person, but having that mentorship and saying, hey, you can do better, you can do more, you can do this, let me help you, has also had me want to become a mentor to others. So I really feel I do kind of have a positive spin. Glass is always half full versus half empty, but there are times where it is half empty, and I kind of bounce right back and say what I need to do: put some music on, drink my iced coffee, talk to some people who make me feel good, and I can make them feel good in return as well.
And I love that confidence and that positivity. We generate it, right? We don't wait around and wait for it to come, because it won't.
We got to find what makes us happy. And by making others happy, it makes me happy that I'm doing something for others. I will say I did purchase sushi, which I haven't done in a while, and it was on sale. And I will say, I was like, I need to do something for myself. I'm going to get that sushi that's on sale. I haven't had it in forever. And it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. It made me feel good. I'm like, yeah, I deserve this.
Just listening to you talking about being a people pleaser, that's something that you have struggled with and maybe lacking confidence in certain areas. Is self-care an issue for you usually?
It can be. I'm not going to lie. Over the years, it can be. I've gotten better at understanding what I need to do. And if that's just 5 minutes, 20 minutes, get up a little bit earlier. I write poetry. I'm actually currently writing a book that I've been wanting to do for years. So I'm excited about that. I am doing just different things that I've been wanting to do. Lots of nature, kind of sitting out in the nature, taking a walk. Those little things. It doesn't have to be, big return, but it has to be something for myself because, I've been under the impression my whole life that on an airplane, if you don't put the mask on yourself first, you can't help others. So that's kind of the way I keep saying to myself, it's not selfish. It's okay. I can do these little things for myself and then in return do things for others as well.
Yeah, which is so important as a mom. You're always just so wrapped up in taking care of the kids, especially when they require more, when they have more needs, when they
They
need more
do.
attention that way. Yeah. And so it's even harder to get stuck in that. And so I love that you bring up the airplane analogy and that it's not selfish. It's actually, it helps everybody, right? It helps both parties. It benefits everybody. You talk about being very driven, very ambitious. It sounds like you have kind of always been that way. Have you been stuck in moments pursuing things when you have been like, okay, why am I really pursuing this? Am I pursuing this for myself or am I pursuing this for that external validation?
Great question. I feel like I have gone through that, Michaela, more and more throughout the past several months, even the last year. I do feel good when there is something that, I'm creative. I'm very innovative. And whenever I feel that I am doing something that kind of stands out, that I know is going to be in return helpful to others, helpful to myself as well, it does validate, hey, I worked hard. I deserve this. It's something that I'm passionate about. And I think the drive of knowing that I'm making a difference is something that really inspires me. But there are some challenges where I get stuck and I go, why am I doing this? Should I continue to do this? And then I put it down for a little bit and I end up coming back to it. I kind of describe this as when I go shopping, there's always that shirt that you want and you look at it and you keep walking past the shirt. You keep walking past the shirt and you're like, okay, if I don't get it, there's only one in my size for the color I like. It's on sale. If I come back tomorrow, it's not going to be there. So I feel that my life's kind of like that. If I'm still thinking about it and it's something I'm still passionate about, I want to keep continuing on it. But yes, do I take a pause sometimes and say, why am I doing this? Is it for myself? Is it for others? Validating that is something that I do like to. I'll do pros and cons lists too. Like, what are the pros to do this? What are the cons? Where am I going to end up at the end? I think we all have those times in our lives where we wonder, should we have done it differently? Should we have not done it at all? We always want to validate, and say, okay, this is the reason why.
I love your take on this. And I love how you describe your process because I've never thought of a shopping analogy.
Yes. I mean, as women, we do, we get obsessed with certain things and it doesn't have to be the most expensive thing, but it's like we want that and we know we want it in our mind. We don't stop wanting it. So then we go back at the end, hopefully, and get that because we do regret when we don't.
Yeah. But taking that pause to really get to the motivation, okay, let me ponder on this. Let me reflect. Do I really need this?
Correct.
Why am I doing this? What is my motivation here? And just taking that pause, which going to the shopping analogy, that is the key, right? Taking the pause and be like, okay, wait.
Walk around.
Do I really want this? Yeah. Do I really want this? Do I really need this? And then if the answer is yes, then okay, I can feel good about it now. And there are not going to be the regrets,
Correct.
right? But that pause is so, so important. I love that. And I want to circle back to motherhood. I want to know what values are most important for you to instill in your kids.
Of course, kindness is number one. I believe that it's very important to have kindness. With the oldest daughter, believe it or not, when I used to work in senior care, I would take her, she would come in with my sister, my mom, whoever that may be when she was little, like 4, 5, 6 years old, help push wheelchairs, help with the activities. She helped with the carnival. She helped get the seniors food and play bingo. And that really kind of made her wise beyond her years. We hear this in her work all the time. You're so wonderful with all ages. You're so wise. People don't believe she's 22. They're like, are you 40? She just is so mature. So kindness is really important. And that's, to other people, to children, to animals, to yourself. You have to be kind to yourself. I think that's very valuable. I will also say honesty is important. I always say if you tell a lie and you end up going in circles, and eventually it just doesn't make any sense at the end. And people know you're lying. Working in recruiting, you hear, I was in the hospital, my grandma died, my dog ate my homework, my resume, whatever that may be. And the longer you go with something and more you can't believe someone's actually being truthful. So it's better to be honest. Yes, be very gentle with the honesty. So be careful, like to spin it a little bit of a kinder way. Just don't say someone looks awful in that shirt. Just be like, oh, I did like the green one a little bit better. Just kind of understanding, kind of redirecting the conversation. And I would say just in general, the communication is really valuable. So my oldest and I are very close. So I've always been that kind of mom that she can come to me for anything. Good, bad, different. I will be honest with her. I will listen. I will guide. Sometimes she listens. Sometimes she doesn't. She's been a good kid. But I think when parents kind of are standoffish and they don't want to hear the children, they do rebel. And the parents that are giving them too much slack, then they, once again, act out. So I do try to be that balanced parent where it's, come to me, let's talk about it. You might not always like it, but let's have that communication. So I would say communication, kindness, and honesty.
I love those so much. They're so important. And my next question is, I want to know what lessons you have learned from your kids.
It is a great question. I would say the lessons I've learned, I would say from the oldest especially, I love that she doesn't judge. I love that she is so open. Her circle of friends, they're so different and diverse. She just, is so open, like, I want to help. And I go, oh, I wonder where she gets that from. But I just love her open-mindedness. Like she has no judging whatsoever. She's very easy to approach. I love that she communicates very well over text message. I will be honest with you. I'm not the best texter. Believe it or not, I love to communicate, but texting is very short and to the point. Hers is just beautifully written. She can write a whole book if she wanted to, but she has to want to. So I would say, the communication on that aspect, she's kind of taught me, hey, mom, people aren't really understanding what you're writing. Maybe we should do it a little differently. So that's important. The listening, she says, okay, mom, she's like, you got to listen to this. You're a little too distracted. She'll tell me whenever, I get off topic. And then the youngest, I would say, I think it's just that her, she likes what she likes. She knows what she wants. She's very decisive. So for me, I'm very indecisive. Now I've gotten better through the years, but she knows what she wants, how she wants it. She might want something that's like, we'll go to Target and, hey, I want that $30 doll. And then another day she'll be like, no, I just want that $5 outfit. So, she kind of knows. And if it's something she doesn't want, she's like, next time, we'll come back next time. I'm like, wow, I wish I could do that. She just like knows what she wants, a girl who knows what she wants. So I think just kind of going and living through their eyes and kind of like what their goals are, it's really valuable to me. I want them to be happy. And, the youngest was a dancer. She's kind of getting away from the dance now. I did say I want her to do something a little different. So I'm kind of letting her guide that. And, one thing at a time. I don't like to ever say, let's do 5 things at once, because then you get overwhelmed. And it's not me getting overwhelmed, it's the child getting overwhelmed. So yeah, I guess just learning from them. That's a good question. I never thought of that question before. So thank you.
You're welcome. I want to ask if you have any advice for any other parents who have neurodivergent kids or kids who just don't fit the mold of what the world says they should.
That's a great question. I would say first, see what makes them happy. That's the most important thing. So if it's dolls or superheroes or trains, whatever that is, soccer, really kind of zone in and let them take the lead. We've done occupational therapy. We've done autism, like ABA therapy. We're doing school therapy. So I think just kind of like going into the community and learning like what kind of resources there are. But if there's something that your child really, really enjoys, try to get them with a child, that they know that really loves that too. So, okay, my daughter has some friends that are really into going outside and playing sports. So she does like that. But, is she wanting to do that all the time? What's the weather like outside? Is it going to be something that she's going to enjoy? I do try to allow her to make those choices. However, there are times I try to make her feel uncomfortable because you can't always say, hey, we're always going to do it your way. She had to ride the bus home today. She's not a fan. And so we're trying to get her back on the bus again, with new friends. Just try to do things that make them happy and that they thrive at. She's super creative. So any child that is neurodivergent, any adult that's neurodivergent, the creative, innovative ideas. And I've read stories where someone sees a sculpture, they see a statue, a sculpture, whatever that may be, one time, and they can paint the whole thing from memory. It's beautiful. So I think I'm innovative, but when I look at my youngest, I go, wow, I didn't think of that. That's a great idea. And I'll follow her lead and we'll work together.
I think there's a temptation, at least for me, I've gone through this, to kind of try to funnel your kids into what you want them to do, or like you're almost trying to relive your own childhood. And so I love that your advice is follow their lead, let them lead and support them in what they want to do, while also gently pushing them outside of their comfort zone at times, because that's so important. What would be your advice for those who have to deal with insensitive comments, insensitive people? We talked about how we've both dealt with that.
I mean, unfortunately, not everyone's always going to agree. Not everyone's always going to support or understand. We've had situations where, and this doesn't happen often, but where she gets a little bit more rough with friends, like playing on the playground, and you can see that the parent gets a little bit concerned, or vocally she says something, and I have to explain to the parent, I don't know if you're aware of this, but she's on the spectrum. It's very high functioning autism, but sometimes it's things that she can't always control. We're going to try to redirect her. She might just be overly stimulated, overly tired. Maybe we should try earlier in the day next time to get the kids together. When we move to our new place, our new home, a lot of the parents are cliquey. I hate to say there's cliques, and they don't always understand, and it can be hurtful. Sometimes I think she understands it being in first grade, what they're saying, like, hey, I'm having a party and you're not invited. And it's sad like that. Parents don't speak to their children whenever they're being hurtful, unfortunately. I think just knowing your child's limits, and just know that not everyone's going to understand it. I've had people give me dirty looks in grocery stores when she's acting out, throwing things, running around in circles, because, they get overly stimulated and they start to just kind of, I've heard that even chewing gum sometimes is helpful. What I've been doing, if it's somewhere where she can't run, when you're moving your mouth and you have gum in your mouth, it's the same as kind of like moving your foot, moving your hand to music, and, just trying to find ways to get her active, because at night she has trouble sleeping. I mean, it's really challenging. Getting her to sleep throughout the night, get up and be awake is a challenge, because she's just so overly, like, her mind's going in a million different directions. So giving her that space, like, we'll dance around the living room, we'll put some music on, we'll do a contest, something just to get her active. But no, not everyone's always going to understand it. So we have lost friends along the way, unfortunately, and that's a shame, that don't understand the situation. And there's other friends we've gained because they do say, hey, I have children just like this. Or my cousin, or like you had mentioned, like a nephew, they are also on the spectrum, or they have a disability or some other type of challenge. So I get it. I've been there, and it makes you feel so much better when someone is on your side. So I try to surround myself with those kind of people, and the ones that don't understand, I try to, mention what's happening, and they can either agree or not, but we can't change the world, unfortunately. We just got to keep going forth.
It does get hard as they get older and they notice more. They notice more things, and you don't want them to notice, right? You don't want it to affect them. But I just love that you're leading by example that way. And I really like that you kind of reframe it like, yes, we have lost friends, but we have gained friends. And looking at it half full, like glass half full, right? Like, what have I gained through this? What great lessons have I learned from this that I never would have learned had I not had these amazing kids? And so just changing your perspective and looking at it as an opportunity and a blessing, instead of something that is a hindrance or just always difficult.
Yes, of course, 100%. And yeah, you do. You have your days. I mean, there are days where, you're going to the school, we're late because she's having troubles getting her children, her dolls dressed, and we can't find their shoes, and their hair looks like a mess. And, we go to school, and as a mom, your baseball cap on, thrown clothes on, taking her to school because she missed the bus, or she missed the bell. And, you get some looks, and, it's like, I'm just glad she went to school today. So I look at that, I'm like, she went to school. That's the positive. And I hear that from the school counselor as well. And that's like, you're getting her here. You need to be proud of yourself. She's coming to school. She's doing a great job. Yes, you were late, but you got her here. So it's like the wins. Look at the wins, not the losses. So it's challenging. And there was one day we were on the way to school, and we saw this beautiful eagle, and it's part of my book. It's going to be in the book, but it was like, okay, if we would have left 5 minutes earlier, we wouldn't have seen that beautiful eagle. So, you look at those signs, or there's times where I was pregnant with her, and I walked down to the grocery store. And there was a guy who drove his car through the 7-Eleven. Like he drove his car through 7-Eleven. If I had been walking 5 minutes earlier, who knows if I would have been hit by the car. And, you think about these things, like there's a reason behind everything. So I'm grateful that the positives, I look at the positives.
I love that perspective. So I want to hear more about your book now. You mentioned the eagle. What is your book about? Tell us more about that.
So it's in the process. I've never written a book ever before. It is really honestly about positivity. It's actually about overcoming things that in your life, obstacles, and how to look at things in a different light. So there's a lot of obstacles in my life that I have had, whether it be professionally, personally, and there's been signs, there's been situations where I could go one direction, but instead I went a different direction. So it's really there as kind of like, I call it, I don't know if you've seen the Inside Out movies, but I feel like it's an adult Inside Out movie because all of the emotions are kind of in the book. The happy, the anger, the disgust, everything is there. So I'm in the process. I'm hoping to have it released sometime in 2025. And in addition to that, I've been working on a TV show for job seekers that helps them find work. So I'm actually trying to work with 3 job seekers that are having troubles in the economy, position companies that actually understand them, that want to support them, that the mission driven. And I feel that the world has it's been challenging with COVID. It's been challenging in general with politics and everything else that's going on, to find work that actually pays you for what you're worth and treats you with respect. It also, on the flip side, companies are having trouble finding candidates as well. So good candidates that are going to be there long term, that are there for the right reasons, not ghosting. I feel like ghosting in employment is a very big topic. So I'm working with that as well as a project to see if I can see where that goes and help others. So I got a couple projects going on.
Hey, that's incredible. Both of those sound so amazing. When does your TV show, do you have a date for that yet?
My goal is the end of summer. So,
Okay.
we have met, I have, those job seekers already kind of going through the process right now, starting to film. This is also my first time doing this. I'm one of those driven, you kind of like, I'm going to do this. And then you do it. You're like, oh, wow, there's a lot that goes to it. The end of summer, I always say, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Is the book coming or is the show coming first? They're both about, I would say the book's a little more to the point of being done than the show, because it's just myself and possibly I have an illustrator who I might have illustrate some of the pages. But yeah, there is autism in there. There's depression, mental health, there's parenting, employment. I mean, there's a lot involved in the book that I think will really speak to at least someone on some topic.
Well, that sounds so incredible. And do you have a title yet?
I'm working on it. Yes.
Okay.
I have a couple that I'm working on, but I don't have an actual set one yet.
Keep us updated and we'll let people know. I have a few rapid fire questions that we're going to end with. What is the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Oh, I love that question because it actually leads me to the book and to my life. So actually, few years back, I'd say around the time that my oldest was about to graduate, I had decided to go on a healthy weight loss journey for just to be healthier, to drink more water, to take better care of myself. And in return, every time I would hit a certain milestone, I would do something for myself, whether that be axe throwing, get my nails painted, whatever that is. Well, got to a point where I was going to go skydiving. And it was something that I've always wanted to do for the reason of just floating through a cloud. Everyone goes, floating through a cloud, that's why you want to go skydiving? I go, yeah, I was just curious how it feels, like just floating down. So I went on the hottest day of the year, and there was people on top of people on top of people, let's just put it that way, in this tiny little plane. And long story short, when I came down, something happened inside of my brain, actually, that came to me and said, okay, if you can do this, you can do anything. And it actually gave me the drive and a little more confidence, actually, a little bit more, I can do this. Don't doubt myself. Because, in our lives, we always doubt ourselves. Like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. It's just like dipping your toe in the water. You may never jump into the water. So I did it and ended up coming out with that result versus, hey, I floated through a cloud. And then after I did, I go, oh my gosh, what did I just do? So, honestly, that was probably the most adventurous thing I've ever done. I'm not overly adventurous. However, since then, I started my own company. I got a tattoo of someone I love that I didn't know if I'd ever get a tattoo, but it's for that person who passed away. I try to do something that every day that scares, not maybe not every day, but every year that scares me that I've always wanted to do and not hold back.
I've been skydiving and I want to go again. So maybe we'll have to like
Okay.
meet up somewhere and go because my
Oh
husband's
my goodness. Okay.
absolutely no.
No, yeah, I honestly, I don't know. I think the next time I would go, if I ever did, and I told myself this, it had to be on a beautiful tropical island of some type of beautiful scenery, like in another country or something. I don't want to do it, in Pennsylvania where I went. It was kind of grummy and dirty, and it just wasn't overly beautiful like, other places.
What is one daily habit that has made a huge impact in your life?
Wow. Okay. Good question. A daily habit. I really believe that it's important to tell people that you really care about them. So find someone, whether it be someone that you know, or let's say give a compliment to someone you don't know. I like to smile. I'm a huge, like, even when I'm down, I got to find a way to make someone smile. So even on interviews, when I would be interviewing someone for a job and they were just pouty and crabby. I hate to say this, but my goal was always to make them smile. Senior citizens, make them smile. Children, make them smile in the neighborhood. So I really like to have a positive impact on someone, whether it be like someone I know or someone this is a complete stranger, but know that I had that smile that gave someone else a smile at the end of the day.
That's beautiful. What's a book that you could reread over and over?
I love that one book. It's a children's book, believe it or not. Love You Forever. I don't know if you've ever read Love You Forever.
Like You for Always. Oh my gosh. I can't even read that to my kids without bawling.
I love that book, and I could read it all the time because it's just a beautiful story. And the end, I don't want to give it away if people haven't read it, but it's just, yes, it's a parenting book, and it's just shows the circle of life, and it shows beautiful, heartfelt memories. And I like Shel Silverstein. I love like poetry.
What is a quote or a mantra that you live by?
So the newest one is Albert Einstein. When the midst of difficulty comes opportunity, I believe is the exact quote. So when things are difficult, then it gives you the opportunity to change the narrative. So I've been living through that quote at least the past almost year now, because we have gone through a lot of difficulty in the family. I feel like every day has been a challenge, some days worse than others. And when I saw that, I thought to myself, this is the perfect quote. It's on a little rock. I moved it from my office to the kitchen so I can see it every day when I'm washing dishes or getting ready for the dishwasher. And yeah, I always like, okay, it's difficult. It's okay. There's opportunity. The opportunity lies in difficulty, or something to that extent is the quote.
Well, that sounds perfect for you because I think you just naturally try to have that perspective anyway. If you had 24 hours to do anything in the world, what would you do?
Wow, that's a great question. So I would say not be able to worry about technology, know that everyone is okay, that I don't have to worry about the phone, that something bad's going to happen, because I feel like you have to live by your phone, live by the computer. So just be able to just enjoy nature, enjoy family, maybe have a picnic, maybe go to the beach if I could. I actually really love the woods now too, believe it or not. I've become very close to, just loving like anything scenic, but just relax. I think 24 hours, relax with the ones you love, maybe take a little time for yourself too. But also just enjoy. To be honest, Deep Creek, Maryland, over this past summer, our family went there and we were on the water on the kayaks, and it just was so relaxing with the sun and, the sky, the sunsets coming, and it just was beautiful. So just having time to not worry about time.
Thank you so much, Missy, for being on here today. It was such a joy to chat with you.
It was a pleasure too, Michaela. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you, viewers. It was a pleasure.
If today's episode stirred something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your takeaways, leave a review, and don't forget to subscribe so you can keep uncovering what's possible when you stop proving and start becoming. You don't have to prove your worth. You're here to prove what's possible when you fully own who you were divinely designed to be. Live with faith, lead with boldness, prosper with purpose. Prove it.